Hello, I'm Yildiz Sethi at Crazy Normal for better health and well-being in promoting better ways of working with the mind. I'm inspired to dispel myths and lay out facts about your mind and relationships and mental health. And I'd like you to join me in an exploration of what it is to be a crazy normal like me. But do it in your own way so you can be free to be you. So welcome to Crazy Normal. I have a very interesting lady here with me at the moment. I call her Ming. She has a fuller name. She can tell you what she prefers to be called when I introduce her. She's in Mangrove Mountains in northern New South Wales at the moment. And she's got a very interesting life and lots to share with you today. So I'm going to introduce you to Ming. Hello, Ming.
Hi, Yildiz. Good to see you again.
And what should we call you? Do you want to, is Ming enough, or do you want to tell people more of your full name? It's entirely up to you.
Well, with my Chinese heritage, I was given a skin name called Sufira Mingara, and that's only used when we are in special occasions. And the reason I've chosen my Chinese name Ming is to remember my great-grandfather who came from China. His name was Ming, and it means the sun and the moon, and it also stands for light or enlightenment. And I was given this name by my grandfather when I was born because he thought that I was going to bring some light into the world.
Wow.
And that's my Chinese heritage. So I actually was born in Malaysia, and when I was born, very dark, to a Chinese mother who was expecting a Chinese boy. So I had a rejection from her, and my grandfather said, "No, the nurse hasn't given you the wrong baby. One day I will tell you why she's so brown." So my other sisters and brothers were very fair Chinese, and they even have the Chinese eyes. And my father's dark, but it's okay for a man to be dark in Asian culture. So my grandfather was actually very ashamed to be connected to Aboriginal people. He was actually born in Darwin and went to Malaysia for the tin mining. And before he passed, he told us how he actually jumped ship and left Darwin after his parents died for the tin mining in Malaysia. And the story about his father, who was my great-grandfather, who came from China, from the region of Hakka, and they traveled on a boat with a group of men from the village of Hakka in search of the gold. And the Chinese call it the Gold Mountains. And they heard about the gold in Australia, and everyone was rushing off to, try and find the gold and make money and help their families. And this particular family, my LAI family, they actually stopped in Timor, and some of the men hooked up with the Timorese women and started a minority community called Timor-Leste. And they're still there, and my Lai family is still there, and they have their own language, their clothing is different, their food is different to the rest of the Timorese. And the rest of the men from the boat went to Darwin, to Pine Creek for the gold. In my search for my own heritage, my grandfather said to me, "You must go back to Australia to find your roots because of my color." So I came to Sydney many years ago under a scholarship to do nursing in 1970 at Sydney Hospital. And my goal was immediately after that, I wanted to be a doctor. But then I realized I couldn't support myself and study full-time as well. So I did anthropology and behavioral science to research the Chinese gold rush, the migration of Chinese people from China and the gold rush songline, as I call it. And I couldn't really find many of my lives at all, LAI family, in Melbourne or in Brisbane. I even went to Sofala, which is in New South Wales near Bathurst. A long search for many years. And finally, I thought, maybe my grandfather, might have mucked it up because of his old age. And next thing, an opportunity came about for me to do agency nursing in Central Australia to be a clinical nurse specialist in mental health, which I was interested in. I've been studying the mind and alternative therapies since then, in between searching for my heritage, because I believed in holistic mind, body, and spirit healing and culture. And I loved language and how our migration of our people and the strength and resilience of Indigenous people, besides in Australia, around the world, and the drive and the determination of migrants, overcoming the oceans and the open seas to come to Australia to start a new life for the family's benefits. So I arrived in Alice Springs and I've heard about Uncle Bob Randall's Kanyini principles. I watched a film which is on YouTube, and Uncle Bob and his story about the stolen generation. And I set my mind up that I must meet Uncle Bob. And I love the Kanyini because the Kanyini's main principle is about unconditional love, loving those who have harmed us, and because we know that we're all one human family. And that really appealed to me about forgiveness because I suffered a lot with my color.
And did you eventually find your genetic or racial links, Ming?
I did. Yes, in Alice Springs, I met Uncle Bob and he said, go up to Darwin, your Chinese mob's up there, and then come back and I'll give you the Kanyini. And I went up to Darwin and opened up the phone book, and there were 3 pages of LAI, and people are still alive and living there, and they're the same Chinese character surname. So I knew my family was there, my ancestors were there, and I found my Indigenous heritage as well through.
Okay. So what year was that, Ming?
Well, so 2019, 2017, 2018.
Okay, so fairly recently. Okay, yeah.
Yes, only recently.
So you've told us already a lot about yourself, Ming, which is wonderful. I'd like to ask you what drives you. What has driven you your whole life, Ming? Is there a special impulse that drives you?
I think overcoming bullying, because I experienced so much bullying for my color. I continuously have to explain why I'm dark in a Chinese family, and I had to stand up and be my own advocate because my mother wasn't going to defend me. So learning that, and I realized that I suppose I'm like the advocate for the underdog. I could feel myself feeling the empathy for people who were oppressed and put down and bullied. And sometimes they don't have a voice, and I want to be that voice to speak the truth and also to recognize our basic human rights of safety and respect and care and nurturing. And in this, according to my research, when I was living in Alice Springs, the drive I have is for Indigenous women who have suffered a lot and they don't have a voice. Through colonization, as well as the men have suffered too, but they've all lost their identity, their role, connection to land and country. And my drive, my passion now is to bring back the Kanyini for our people to be educated, empower them about their human rights, and also to learn to stand up and be enriched in their own culture through the Kanyini principles.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'm the new messenger of the Kanyini.
Yes. Yeah. So this is really how it's driven your life path as well, right?
It has, yes.
So you started as a nurse and then you've moved into other areas by the sound of it.
I have, yeah. I was then I became an anthropologist and sociologist. Then I did Jungian studies and alternative therapies, the mind, body, and spirit, and alternative healing, Ayurveda, medicine, anything I could, my toolkit to bring for my clients and for people whom I'd be meeting. And so the drive now is to, as you know, I've written a book called Megasaurus, which is about a wedge-tailed eagle that overcame bullying by the crows to become the messenger of unconditional love through Uncle Bob Randall's Kanyini principles. And I'd like to bring this awareness back to my people in Central Australia so they know that there is hope in their lives.
Yeah, it would also be really lovely for the rest of the population, I think, also to have more insight into Aboriginal history, feeling, situation. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
It is my desire to be the advocate and the bridge between the two, eastern states, and Northern Territory was closed off for a very long time.
Yeah.
But the advantage of that is that our people are still quite close to our culture and our language. Some of the elders, however, they are dying from chronic diseases. And there's a good thing happening in Tennant Creek where I'll be going shortly. There's a language school that has been built. So we're now preserving language, sort of collecting as many stories as we can from our elders before they pass, so the young people can start learning language and know who they are. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been on a long journey, right? It sounds like it's had lots of turning points. What were some really crucial turning points for you in your life, Ming?
The first one was coming to Australia on my own at 17.
Yeah.
With the encouragement of my father and my grandfather, who had said to me, you must go and find, your roots, because that will answer all your questions about your color, because the color was driving me. I thought, why do I have to stand here and explain why I'm brown and you guys are yellow, So that has been the driving force behind it. And the turning point for me was when I arrived in Central Australia, and I could see that I felt at home in Central Australia. My spirit felt one. I immediately felt that I had come home, and my whole my nervous system just went into this amazing relaxed state. I could walk on country. The red earth spoke to me, the blue skies, and there's just the dry heat. I had memories in my cells, in my body, of the past,
Yeah.
So it motivated me to write the book about Megasaurus overcoming bullying, incorporating Dreamtime story of Kanini. And it's a story about myself learning to overcome bullying by forgiving those who hurt me, and through Ho'oponopono prayer and also other things, and to move forward with unconditional love. And I hope that this path would also resonate with my people, to think about the future in a positive way of not having to fight for our rights, but to know that we are worthy and we are the original people and the custodians of this land, and to be able to work with the white people and to bridge the gap that has been slowly getting wider and wider. And I'm looking at how important family constellation is,
Yes.
to assist us to heal generational trauma.
Excellent. And so now we get on to the present, don't we, Ming, where you and I are talking together about what we can do, or what I can do to assist you in in your journey of advocacy, but also healing, isn't it? Really, that's what we're looking
very
for.
important. Healing and hope.
Yeah.
To bring hope to our people, and know that I think providing people with education and skills and knowledge on how to heal is one of the steps of moving our Indigenous people and their consciousness towards self-responsibility and autonomy. You're talking about the future, but we need to just bring them back to knowledge that, yes, I am worthy, I can heal, and there is a way, which family constellation would be fantastic.
I think it's really, the actual, what's actually happened, with the disempowerment, with the colonization, with the putting down, with the violence, with the shaming, has left a huge trauma, hasn't it, on the people, which shows itself as all of the things we hear about, the low self-worth, the abuse, substance abuse, etc. So rather than trying to treat those abuse things separately, from your perspective, I understand it, Ming, and mine too, we need to go to the core of the problem and help them resolve their inner souls
Yes.
so that they can stand
Yes.
up and can look forward.
Yes. I think what we hear in the media about, domestic violence, drug and alcohol addictions, the jail, the statistics are so high. Youth suicide is never mentioned, and the youth in custody is terrible, and women being battered and lost their whole identity. Children being taken away from mothers because they're not able to look after. So there's such a whole range of side effects of the trauma that has come about with colonization.
Yeah.
And if we go down to the roots of the trauma, we can heal and empower people. And these symptoms will slowly dissipate as we get stronger and stronger and realize that, yes, there is a trauma, we acknowledge it, but now we can return it and we start to thrive again for the future.
You mentioned family constellations, and that's a perfect way, I believe, through my practice of more than 20 years of using this, of helping people not just acknowledge what happened, because we kind of know what happened, I think, but actually process that trauma for ourselves, for yourselves, but also for your people as well. That they can move on now and actually open their eyes and look at that they do have possibilities and they are definitely, the ancestors of this land and should be so proudly.
Yes, yeah. And I believe that with family constellation and EMI, your rapid core healing is even more potential, powerful to bring in the indigenous aspect of it and asking them how, because we do know within ourselves how we'd like to heal. And, so sitting with our people to devise an indigenous method of healing, but with the foundation of the EMI and rapid core and family constellation, and understanding culture and language, and their pains and their grief and loss, all of that, we can move forward towards a healthier future, indigenous generations to come.
And my thing about developing or working the way I do is it doesn't have to take forever, right? That the healing process does not have to be traumatic in itself. It can be short, it can be healing, and change can happen relatively quickly, probably quicker than most people realize, with better methodologies of working with trauma.
Yes. I think having worked for 10 years now in the NT government, not in and out of that, because I really didn't agree with their methods with medication and not understanding culture and knowledge, and understanding that when we hear our ancestors speak to us, we have telepathy. We haven't lost the telepathy. So some of us are not hearing voices. We do have that ability, and to be shut down with medication and CBT and stuff that don't really work for our people. It's like putting us in a square box when we're used to being in round buildings and, curved buildings built out of trees and whatever.
And fresh air.
And the earth is round. Yeah, fresh air, sunshine. So we need to be out there in the open because we connect to Mother Earth. We are one with Mother, flora and fauna. And we were able to be sustainable. We didn't take what we don't need. We live in harmony with nature. And yet white man came along and told us that we were primitive and that we didn't know what we were doing because we didn't wear much clothing. But in the desert, you don't need too much clothing. And people can listen to Panini. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, from my perspective,
and I'm looking at the important.
What's been missing with trying to close the gap has been really genuinely having a full connection and conversation with the people about what they need as a first priority, really. Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than trying to think, they need this or they need that and just whacking it there and expecting the Indigenous people to be grateful when it's actually wasn't what they needed at all. Would you agree with that?
No, yes, definitely. I think we cannot bring white men's hierarchical, triangle of power and control with our people. We need to sit in a circle, and that's why my business is called Sacred Circle Solutions, where everyone is equal. And passing that message stick was beautiful on the weekend for everyone to say, "This is me. I'm the speaker. Please listen." And Auntie Miriam Rose talked about the Dadiri, which is deep listening, learning to listen to our needs and putting it down and work collaboratively towards a much healthier and positive future together, not individually, and telling us. We've had many 200 years of people telling us that we're not good, we're primitive, we don't have a culture, all of that, but we do. We survived long before white men came.
You have your own culture and your own spirituality, right?
Yes, we did.
Which is a very high level spirituality, isn't it? That most of the most spiritual people in the world are going way beyond our religions and connecting with the environment as the source of our spirituality, which it seems that Indigenous people already had all those years ago. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Connected to consciousness, to our spirits, our guides, and we tune in. Just even walking on country, we are already grounding ourselves and being one with nature.
Yeah.
And we knew how to live in harmony and peace.
Yeah. And really, in your mind's eye, you'd like to see the Indigenous people of the land going back into that place of being at one with their country with dignity and pride. Yeah.
Yes, it would be wonderful. But because of westernization, for the future we need to look at collaboration and work with together for our future generation.
Yes.
But in peace and love.
Yes.
And listening to our knowledge of land. And we knew how to, even, back burning, we knew that we had to back burn certain area to regenerate the bush foods and bush medicines. We also knew how to create clouds to bring rain. The old people knew that if we lit a fire, the smoke would start going up there and changing the atmosphere. That will create clouds, and then next thing we had rain. There's a beautiful film about the Rainmaker, which people can watch on YouTube. We knew we were one. We were one with nature, with the cosmos. We were the first astrologers. We could read the stars and we could tell where we were and what direction. And we also sensed, where the kangaroo would be and where the water hole is. So white men can learn from that. It'd be
absolutely.
Good exchange of knowledge. And our people were the trackers for some of those first, explorers. We know that, but they were never mentioned.
Yeah, that's
There were explorers who came across the mountains, the desert, Bruce and Wills, and all the other Lasseter.
They couldn't have done it without the trackers,
No, without the trackers.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be lovely to have a point when there is finally there's acknowledgement, healing, and respect here,
Beautiful, equal.
That would be such a wonderful gift. So that is your calling, Ming, is that right?
It is. That's what drives me, is my desire to serve my people. And that is also what drove me to study and educate myself so that I can be up to par with Western, education system.
You need to be able to speak the language, don't you? You need to be able to...
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And then pass that knowledge on to my people and educate the young people towards having a future as well, and enrich their lives. And, education is important, but also culture is just as important.
Yes.
So we can weave these two law, L-O-R-E, and L-A-W, and, Western and East, our Indigenous cultures together. So it'll be a new way towards, positive future for our generation, closing the gap. I think it's important to heal the trauma,
Absolutely.
the root causes.
That's kind of step one, isn't it, really? And then hopefully everything else, when people become more empowered and confident and able to speak more freely, then perhaps we'll get the next wave of empowerment.
That's the reason why I'm doing the Masters of Indigenous Leadership.
Okay.
Is to come and have another, bow under my in my toolbox to be a leader with qualification from Monash University, so that I can actually stand in public and speak openly that I am a qualified Indigenous woman, elder.
Yes.
I'm not just someone from the remote, but I'm here as an advocate and a voice for my people.
Okay.
Yep.
That's wonderful, Ming. Lovely to hear all those ideas and all that passion and all the devotion you have to your purpose. Okay.
sacredcirclesolutions.com.au.
Great. Okay, very clear. And the name of your book again, so we've got that really clear?
Megasaurus. So it's spelled MEGA-SOAR-US. And it means to soar as an eagle in a mega way. And it's for all of us to soar together and rise.
And this is available on Amazon or any bookshops as well?
It's on Amazon and audiobooks.
Yeah.
And Uncle Bob's movie is called the Kanini documentary, KanYini. And there'll be other YouTube videos of Uncle Bob speaking about the Kanini and some of his beautiful songs. And one of them is My Brown Skin Baby, which he calls me his brown skin baby. Yeah.
It's lovely.
And there are 2 Kanini songs, so people can access those songs about what Kanini is about.
Okay. Thank you for your rich knowledge, Ming, and your passion. And thank you very much for being on this podcast.
Thanks, Yildiz. I love being crazy normal.
Yes. You can find out more about me and what I offer at rapidcorehealing.com or contact me at yildiz@yildizsethi.com.